Hi, I'm Charlotte Ham. I was born in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma in 1976. I am from Tucson, Arizona. Lived here since the 80s and grew up on the east side of Tucson, Arizona. Went to Saguaro High School, graduated in 93, and have traveled off and on, back and forth from here to Texas. My name again is Charlotte Ham, and I wanted to share a story about my mother, Toni Ham, who is a special creative artist here in Tucson, Arizona. She was a milliner designer, and she created wonderful hats and designed them from her own hands. She was a part of the Southwest Folk Alliance with Tucson Meet Yourself for many years, selling hats at the local markets and presenting her arts for the community. Toni Ham moved to Tucson, Arizona in the mid to late 1970s, and she stayed in Tucson, worked at the Safeway on Broadway and Camino Seco for a long time as in the meat department. And in doing so, Toni did a lot of honing her own creative arts by doing hats and working outside in her garden, to her hobbies of fish and birds. But the most important one was the creative work of making and designing hats. And she was an entrepreneur who decided that she wanted to make individual hats and unique hats that no other woman could see on another woman. She wanted unique, one-of-a-kind hats. And she had a way of designing hats that were so intricate and unique that had a bold statement to them for spring, fall, and the winter time. She was a staple in the community, as she was someone, when you met her, you couldn't forget her, and enjoyed her personality because she embraced everyone with just open ease. And Toni decided in 1992 to start her business officially with Toni's Designs, and marketed herself as someone who loved fashion and wanted to make sure that she exuded the personality of making sure everybody looked really good. And she wanted to make a statement and for them to wear it well. And she has a wonderful, unique talent of looking good no matter where she went. And so if it was to the supermarket or a little errand that she was running, she always looked good and dressed her best. And so in doing so and starting her business in 1992, she followed the hats with doing fashion design and accentuating the hats with accessories and shoes, and doing little fashion shows here around town. Toni Ham is originally from Centerville, Texas. She was born in Centerville, Texas in 1941, December 27th. And she was born to Benny Mary Robinson and her father, Ray Jones. She was the oldest of, I believe, 7 to 8 siblings. And being the leader of all her siblings, she was a huge caretaker and cared for and took care of a lot of people. Like I said, she was one of those that when you saw her, you would never forget her, because you were everyone's baby, according to her, and she was one of those that she'd take care of you if you needed it, and if you needed something, she was always there. We have neighbors across our street that she used to take care of and love on, who are now 97 years old apiece, and they remember her well. And so in doing all of her creative works, Toni had a lot of extra time to make sure that she did personal contributions to individuals that she came across. While multitasking all those accomplishments, Toni really focused on what came natural to her. And again, it's the fashion and just looking her best and making sure that each hat was unique. And so In about, I would say, in the early or late 2000s, her health has started to decline, and she was going through some memory lapses until she was completely diagnosed later in the 2000s, in the late 2000s, with vascular dementia. And she was, as she got older, she was unable to continue doing her love of fashion. But in that time of going through that process of her dementia, she still had that sense of knowing who she was. She still dressed up. She had to have that one hat that she loved, and she carried her purse everywhere. And she was still someone who very much never forgot her style and sense, and her personality was still there. As the years went on, with her vascular dementia and her diagnosis, she became very, very sick. And so obviously her works were not able to be continued and put forth out there. When I returned home about 3 years ago to come and help my father and be here with my mother as she got sick, one of the things we wanted to look for was what to do with the hats. And I had no idea what to do with the hats, and so I had to reach out to someone that I thought that would remember her hats and would know her very well. And so the one agency that I could think of was Tucson Meet Yourself. I didn't know who my mom was communicating with, but I had found a letter and reached out to them. And who I reached out to was Leah Moss. And Leah Moss, I had no idea who she was, but I wanted to reach out and remind her of who Toni was here in Tucson, Arizona. And she absolutely knew who my mother was and expressed that she'd been trying to get a hold of her and wondered why she couldn't get a hold of her for Tucson Meet Yourself. And then it was then that I was able to tell her that she had been diagnosed with dementia. And so with that, we were able to figure out what to do with the remaining works that my mom had left and the inventory that she left to continue that business. And so I did that with my dad by way of Leah Moss and Tucson Meet Yourself, and being able to continue that legacy that she had before by doing the Tucson Meet Yourself in October, and started doing that about 2 years ago in her honor, and have been doing it ever since. And this has led us here today. And we're able to continue to share that legacy of Toni Ham and continue to exhort those that want to look their best and feel their best and be a beacon for her, and saying that you look great, be great, and do your best, and make a statement and wear it well.